Hello everyone, this is Zooc and today I'm bringing you a new cooking video. This time I'm going to be tackling a dessert. This is going to be a green tea infused panna cotta with a citrus jelly cap, served with sweetened tangerine slices and a simple syrup. Now that sounds fancy as fuck, but it's actually piss easy and any noob can do this, I promise. And the reason I chose this recipe was because my girlfriend's mother was coming over for lunch, so I wanted something that was visually arresting, very pretty, something that would appeal to a woman's sensibilities or sensitivities, whichever it works. And it's infinitely customizable. You can make it your own with any flavor. The base is basically dairy, gelatin, and sugar. You can even make it savory if you choose to, but it's generally safe to go with a combination of fruit or chocolate syrup or something like that. That's kind of the classic formula. And it's also quite delicious. It's a show of very basic skill with very rewarding results for the effort put in. So panna cotta is a supposedly Italian dessert, even though it's unheard of in Italy until the 60s from what I've read. So we don't really know the exact origins of it. There is a rumor that it was actually invented in Hungary somewhere, even though I doubt that. Panna cotta means cooked cream in Italian. But as with most things, it became hugely popular when America got hold of it and propelled its fame to a world-renowned dessert. It became popular in the 90s, quite explosively, and now you can generally find it on the menus of a lot of restaurants in the US that they don't even have to be Italian. It's just a very easy dessert to have on your repertoire, and it just needs to stand in the fridge and you serve it straight away without a lot of prep around it at all. So I can generally understand why it's as popular as it is now. So I'm going to stop blabbering and just get straight into it. I'm going to go in somewhat of a logical sequence here if possible. So I'm going to start off with the citrus jelly. It's going to be made of fresh orange juice. I have 2 medium to large size oranges. I also stripped some of the peel there that you can see on the cutting board. I was going to use that as decoration, but it ended up not working out because it was too tough. As with most Czech vegetables and meats that I buy, everything is tough in the good old Republic. But yeah, you can use generally any decoration you want, from candied fruit to almond slices like I use in the picture, or just skip it altogether. It doesn't really matter. So I squeezed some orange juice and I'm straining it there. You need to strain it because it has a lot of pulp. So I'm using 200 mils of that. That would be, what is it, 7 ounces, I guess, for Americans. So 200 mils of orange juice to 75 grams of sugar. Now let's do some basic theory on gelatin. If you've never worked with gelatin before, it is an animal product which coagulates or gelatinizes. I suppose that's why it's called gelatin. In Europe, we mostly use powdered gelatin, but I see in the Czech Republic that they actually have the equal amount of leaf gelatin. So to do the conversion, it's 1 leaf of gelatin to 1 teaspoon of powdered gelatin. Leaf gelatin comes in different broom strengths also, and that's like silver, platinum, gold, and something else, bronze, I think. So it's 4 strengths of how much it gelatinizes. But enough about leaf gelatin because we're working with powder. So the way this works is the powder has to be dissolved in a cold liquid. Not a lot, just a little. And then it has to be added to the hot base, in this case, the orange juice. You don't need to bring it to a boil. It can just be heated up. Once you add the gelatin, you must, under any circumstance, not bring it to a boil because bringing it to a boil kills its ability to gelatinize. So you won't get the jelly, you'll just have liquid. Once you add the gelatin to the hot base, it needs to be mixed very well. It needs to be completely dissolved, and the way to tell that is to just stick your finger in it when it's not as hot and see if there's any sort of grainy bits on the bottom. If there is, then it needs to be mixed more until it dissolves completely. So that's it. A very simple jelly with fresh orange juice. I recommend using fresh instead of the box one in the supermarket, because that one already has sugar added to it generally, and a lot of other nasty shit that you don't need to have in your body. So what I'm using as a mold is a 6 slot jumbo muffin pan. You can spray it with some cooking spray, just to be safe. I don't think it does that much of a difference, but I read somewhere that people do it, so I wanted to try it out. For me personally, it made basically no difference at all, almost. And I'll get into how to unmold this stuff later on. But you can use any mold, from glasses to cups to anything that is going to be easy to unmold, so it doesn't have a crazy shape. This is a very simple geometric shape, so I wanted to just go for it. And plus it actually fits the entire quantity of panna cotta that I was making just fine. So if you have one of these, it's more than fine to use. Once you put the jelly in, that's going to be on the top, obviously. So that needs to set up first. In the recipe, it said that 15 minutes is enough, but I recommend going at least half an hour. I think I kept it in the fridge for probably an hour while I was making the rest of it. So the more you can keep it in the fridge, the better. Next up, I'm going to be making a simple syrup for the tangerine slices. I'm using canned tangerine slices, but if you actually have tangerines, by all means use the fresh ones. So for a simple sugar syrup, it's going to be 2:1 sugar to liquid. That's a very classic formula. So in this case, I have 100 grams of sugar to 50 mils of tangerine liquid, and with a squirt of lemon juice added just to be safe. Probably not needed in this case, but what lemon juice does with syrups is I believe the citric acid in the lemon juice prevents the syrup from crystallizing. What can happen sometimes is when you make a sugar syrup, it'll get crunchy bits in it. The sugar, it will crystallize and get some nasty bits in there, and the citric acid prevents that from happening. So what I'm adding now to the simple syrup is the orange peel that I peeled earlier. It gives it just a little bit of extra flavor because all the volatile oils and stuff, so big flavor, to put it simply, is in the peel. It'll perfume it nicely. So what you can do is let this boil for a few minutes just to infuse and to thicken a little bit. Don't let it boil for too long, because if you go past 15 or 20 minutes, it'll start to thicken up a lot. We don't want this in the consistency of honey. It needs to still be very liquid, so it's going to sit for a while with the tangerine slices. If you don't want as much sugar in your recipe, you can skip this and just serve the tangerine slices with the juice on the side, but it definitely makes it more interesting like this. So as you can see there, it's bubbling now. That's nothing to panic over. And once it's done, I just poured the syrup. You can see it's still very watery. Just poured it over the tangerine slices. Now you cover that with a cling film and just leave it at room temperature. It does not need to be refrigerated, and it probably shouldn't, because that'll make the syrup thicken considerably, and you don't want that. So just give that a good mix, and that's it for basically the hardest part of it. This is all the prep. So now I'm going to make the panna cotta, and this is the interesting bit. This is something that's very customizable, and you can put whatever is on your mind in it, literally. So it's 1.5 cups of milk. I was weighing it there because I was going to include the weight measurements as well. But I filmed this over a week ago, so since the pot was covering the scale, I completely forgot how much the weight was. So it's probably going to be around 350 mils, I would imagine. I think a cup of milk is 250, so 1.5 cups is 375 actually. 375 mils of each. What I did there was cut a vanilla bean lengthwise, scrape out the seeds, toss it in there. I'm just heating the milk now to infuse it with the tea. I'm using Lipton tea, specifically lemon macaroon is what it's called. So it actually does taste like lemon macaroons. I am not entirely sure how you get tea to taste like a baked product. I'm fairly certain I don't want to know that. But I thought it was a pretty good flavor for this particular application. You can do it with black tea. You can do it with basically any flavored tea. And this works well with any sort of custard that starts off with a liquid such as milk, because you can infuse that flavor in it. And tea is generally a really good shortcut to achieve that with, because it already has all the flavor. You don't need to bother yourself with fruits and straining and anything like that. Just toss some tea in there, heat it up, leave it for 15 minutes to blend the flavors. And that's it. You got something special, and people are going to be wondering how the fuck you achieve that. So now you know. It's very easy and quite versatile. So now I'm going to be hydrating some more gelatin. This is for the panna cotta, and this is going to be 3 teaspoons. That's 1 tablespoon. And just hydrate it in just a couple of tablespoons of milk as well. Now, once the infusing is over with, just pick out the tea bags there with any skin that formed on top preferably. This needs to be a very smooth consistency, but I'm going to leave the vanilla seeds in there because it just gives an interesting visual element to it. Obviously, do not leave the vanilla bean in there, just the seeds. Now I'm going to add 1/3 cup of sugar. You can also add vanilla sugar if you want even more vanilla flavor in it, but I thought that was quite enough because those beans are pretty potent. And now I'm adding the hydrated gelatin in there, mixing it well. Again, this needs to be really, really well dissolved in there, else it's not going to work properly. So what I'm doing now is heating it back up again because it cooled down while it was infusing. Not to the boiling point. Have to enforce that, not to the boiling point. And now I'm going to be adding the second part of the panna cotta, which is the cream. Also adding a sprinkling of sugar because it's not sugar but salt, because it boosts any flavor. And you can see me testing there if the gelatin was indeed dissolved, so everything was fine. So add an equal quantity and volume of cream. So again, 1.5 cups. That actually looks like yogurt, but in the Czech Republic, cream comes in these containers that look like yogurt ones. I don't think I've seen cream in this shape in the US anywhere. But yeah, each country has their own thing. So this is double cream, so it has 30% fat. You can certainly make it with the whole thing with cream, but then it'll be quite dense and very, very calorie heavy. Some people don't add cream at all, which I think is quite boring. And now is the time to have a final taste before everything goes in the molds. Seems like everything is nice and proper. The gelatin has set there, as you can see. It's perfectly set. And now we're going to pour the hot panna cotta. You don't need to leave it to cool. You can just put it straight away. And there's my girlfriend expressing her fascination at this mysterious technique of gelatinizing things. And off she goes. So now I'm going to pour the hot mixture over the set citrus jelly. These jumbo muffin pans are basically 1/2 cup. As you can see there, it fits right on the money. 1/2 cup each portion. But a bigger portion certainly never hurt anyone, except if they're trying to be on a diet. But who cares about that? We're talking dessert here. Diet is irrelevant in this case. So just fill it up, preferably not to the edge. And that's basically it, my friends. Now you have an awesome dessert that you can impress your mother or significant other with, or anyone you choose to. As you can see, it's really easy. Just measure out the ingredients, heat up, mix, and that is literally it. Cover it with foil, stick it in the fridge. The minimum time I'd recommend for it is 2 hours. I kept it in for 4 hours, I believe. But the more the better. That's like a universally valid point of reference with gelatin. If you can do it overnight, that's ideal because it'll set up really well and you won't have any issues with it. But 4 hours, I think, would be the safest way to go. It'll be perfectly set up, edge to middle. You won't have any problems with that. And the way to unmold this monstrosity once it's done is a bit tricky. You have to add boiling water to a larger pan than whatever mold you used. Stick the mold in halfway up, I would say, for 10 seconds, and that's it. It'll soften the outer layer of the whole thing and it'll slide right out of the mold. Also, you can loosen the edges with a knife just to make that more just easier for yourself. But yeah, the whole thing with the boiling water is a safe way to go. Otherwise, there's a very high chance that it won't unmold properly. So there you go. That's going to be it. A green tea infused panna cotta with a citrus jelly cap and sweetened tangerine slices, a simple syrup, and a sprinkling of sliced almonds on top. It was absolutely delicious, very creamy, perfect texture, very impressive. And I hope you try it out and let me know how it goes. Thanks for watching. Please rate that shit if you enjoyed it. You got all the ingredients in the description of this video. And I'll see you guys for my next video. Bye-bye.